There are a lot of myths in the motorcycle world. Some of them are harmless, but others, they're quietly setting riders up for disaster. I'm Matthew from Autozium, and today we're calling out the top 10 motorcycle myths that are getting riders hurt. If you've heard any of these, or worse, believed them, it's time to set the record straight. Number 1, loud pipes save lives. This one refuses to die. It's passed around like gospel at bike nights, shared in forums, and stamped on bumper stickers. And yeah, we get the appeal. Your bike roars like thunder. People should notice, right? But here's the problem: sound doesn't travel where you think it does. That rumble you hear behind your bike, that's exactly where the sound is going. Behind you. The car that's about to pull out in front of you from a side street, they probably won't hear it until it's too late. Modern cars are soundproofed like rolling studios. Between thick insulation, closed windows, and the stereo cranked up, even Harley pipes barely make a dent. Add electric vehicles and distracted drivers into the mix, and suddenly your exhaust note means even less. Want to actually get noticed? Try bright gear, auxiliary lights, smart lane positioning, and constantly adjusting your place in traffic. Want to avoid a crash? Act like you're invisible, because most of the time you are. Sure, loud pipes might get a little extra attention at a red light or cause a startled pedestrian to turn their head. But when it comes to actual safety, visibility trumps volume every single time. So yeah, run loud pipes if you like the sound. Just don't fool yourself into thinking they're keeping you alive. That's not volume, it's vigilance. Number 2, gear doesn't matter if you're just going a few miles. This myth is one of the deadliest because it sounds reasonable. You're just heading to the gas station, the corner store, your buddy's place a few blocks away. Why suit up, you think? I'm not even hitting 40 miles per hour. But here's the harsh truth: most crashes happen close to home, not on epic mountain rides. Not on the long haul to the rally. It's the daily errand, the grocery run, the trip where your guard's down. And in those moments, gear isn't optional, it's essential. It's not just about the speed you're going, it's about what you hit and how. A 30 miles per hour slide across asphalt can shred unprotected skin in less than a second. Hit gravel without gloves? Say goodbye to your palms. Take a fall in sneakers? Your ankle's not walking away. What makes it worse is that once you skip gear just this once, you start making excuses more often. And gear discipline, like muscle memory, fades fast. Good gear isn't just for the freeway, it's for every ride, because the road doesn't care how far you're going, and neither does the SUV that didn't see you. So make it automatic: helmet, gloves, jacket, boots, every ride, no matter the destination, because safety shouldn't have a mileage limit. Number 3, you have to lay the bike down. This myth has been echoing through the riding world for decades, especially among older riders. The idea is that when a crash seems imminent, you should lay the bike down and slide it out rather than trying to stop upright. It's dramatic. It feels decisive. It's also completely wrong with modern motorcycles. This belief started back when bikes had wooden brakes, poor traction, and tires that gave up the ghost in a drizzle. Back then, yeah, if your brakes were garbage and you couldn't stop in time, maybe it felt smarter to slide it out. But that was then. Now, modern brakes are incredible. Even mid-range motorcycles have dual disc fronts, ABS, sticky tires, and suspension systems that allow for quick, controlled stops, even at high speed. Here's the truth: laying it down is giving up control. When you purposely drop the bike, you remove all your ability to steer, brake, or swerve. You commit to a crash. And the damage? To your body, your gear, and your machine? It's often worse than if you had just used your brakes properly. If you practice hard braking, understand your bike's limits, and keep calm under pressure, you can stop way faster than you think. You'll avoid more accidents by staying upright than by bailing out. So ditch this myth. Laying it down isn't a tactic, it's a mistake. Focus on building your skills so you never have to make that kind of call in the first place. Number 4, bigger bikes are safer on the highway. This one's tricky because it contains just enough truth to sound smart. Yes, bigger bikes tend to be more stable at high speeds, Their weight helps them slice through wind, absorb road vibrations, and feel planted during long highway hauls. But calling them safer just because they're big, that's oversimplifying and dangerous. Here's what they don't tell you. Big bikes come with big compromises. They're heavier, which means slower to stop in a pinch. They're harder to handle in tight traffic or parking lots. They're more top heavy and demanding at low speeds. And for new or smaller riders, that weight becomes a liability in emergency maneuvers. On the highway, safety isn't just about the machine, it's about the rider's control over it. A skilled rider on a smaller bike is often far safer than someone wobbling a fully loaded touring rig they can barely balance at stoplights. Also, bigger bikes sometimes encourage faster riding. More power means more temptation. And if your riding habits change because of what's under you, the safety argument starts to crumble fast. The safest bike is the one you can handle confidently in every situation, not just when the road is wide and straight. It's the bike you've practiced with, understand fully, and can stop or swerve without thinking twice. So if you're choosing a bike for highway riding, don't just chase displacement or curb weight. Chase control, comfort, and confidence. Because safety isn't measured in engine size, it's measured in mastery. Number 5, if you can't flatfoot, the bike's too big. This myth scares off more riders, especially shorter ones than it should. The idea goes like this. If both your feet can't sit flat on the ground at a stop, the bike is too tall, too dangerous, and not for you. But that's not how experienced riders think. In fact, some of the best riders out there are rocking tall dual sports and ADV bikes, touching down with one foot or even just the balls of their feet. And they're doing it with confidence. Here's the truth. You don't need both feet down. You need control. What matters more than inseam length is your ability to balance the bike, plan your stops, and use good technique. Riders who know how to shift their weight, slide a cheek off the seat, and plant one solid foot can ride taller bikes with zero drama. It's not about height, it's about skill. This myth also discourages new riders from exploring bikes that actually fit their riding goals. You might love adventure bikes or dual sports, but pass on them because your heels don't touch down. That's a mistake. Many tall bikes are light, narrow, and super manageable once you learn how to handle them properly. Now, if you're tiptoeing and struggling with weight or balance, that's a real issue. But don't write off a bike just because you're not flat-footing it. Instead, look into seat height adjustments, lowering kits, boots with thicker soles, and most importantly, parking lot practice. So yeah, flat-footing can feel reassuring, but it's not essential. If pros can 1-foot 500-pound adventure bikes on dirt trails, you can learn to do it at the stoplight. Practice, plan your stops, and build the confidence that matters way more than inseam measurements. Number 6, you have to start on a 250cc or it's too much. This myth comes from a good place. Nobody wants to see a new rider get overwhelmed. But like most good intentions, it gets warped into a one-size-fits-all rule that just doesn't hold up anymore. Yes, a small displacement bike, like a 250cc, is often a great place to start. It's light, forgiving, and teaches you the fundamentals without the consequences of big power. But the idea that every beginner must start on a 250 or they're doing it wrong? That's outdated. Here's the real answer. The right beginner bike is the one that fits you, physically and mentally. A 500cc or even 650cc bike with smooth power delivery, good balance, and neutral ergonomics can be far better than a twitchy 250 that's geared for revs and needs constant shifting. In fact, some modern 300cc sport bikes are more aggressive and less forgiving than mid-size cruisers or standards. What really matters is how predictable the bike feels, how easily you can control it, and how you plan to ride. Want to do highway commuting? A 250 might feel underpowered and twitchy at 70 miles per hour. Want to focus on city skills and parking lot drills? A lightweight small bike might be perfect. Also, bikes today are more refined than ever. Many have ride modes, ABS, slipper clutches, and all kinds of rider-friendly tech, even at beginner levels. So instead of obsessing over the number on the tank, look at weight and balance, seat height and fit, throttle response, riding ergonomics, confidence while handling at low speeds. Starting small makes sense, but starting smart is even better. Number 7, motorcycles are just too dangerous. Let's face it, this is the one myth every non rider throws at you the moment they find out you ride. Isn't that dangerous? Yes, motorcycles come with risk. That part's not a myth. But the idea that they're inherently, uncontrollably dangerous no matter what you do, that's fear talking, not facts. The truth is, riding a motorcycle is as dangerous as you make it. Poor training, riding without gear, blasting through traffic like a video game, yeah, that'll end badly. But with the right mindset, training, gear, and awareness, riding becomes incredibly rewarding and remarkably manageable. It's not about eliminating risk, it's about managing it. You wear full gear because you know crashes happen. You ride defensively because you know car drivers aren't watching. You take training courses because you're smart enough to invest in skills instead of assuming confidence equals competence. Compare that to drivers in 4,000-pound steel boxes texting at 70 miles per hour with zero situational awareness. And tell me again who's really unsafe. What makes motorcycles seem too dangerous is the visibility of the consequences. When a rider messes up, it's obvious. When a driver messes up, they usually walk away without even learning a lesson. Riding is a calculated risk. And when it's done with respect, discipline, and education, it can be safer than you think. Don't let fear based myths steer your passion into the garage. Own the risk. Train for the ride. Stack the odds in your favor. Because riding isn't about being fearless, it's about being ready. Number 8, you'll get hurt no matter what, so ride hard. This one's dangerous, maybe the worst of the bunch. It usually comes from the mouths of riders who've already had a crash or those trying to play it cool in front of others. You'll hear it on forums, in parking lots, and behind too many social media handlebars. Everyone crashes, so screw it. Ride hard. YOLO. But here's the deal. Riding like you're already doomed is not bravery. It's recklessness. This myth is a slippery slope that leads to some of the worst habits: ignoring gear, blowing past speed limits, skipping maintenance, tailgating, or stunt riding on public roads. Yes, crashes happen. Yes, you might go down one day. But inviting it, expecting it, that's just stacking the deck against yourself and everyone around you. Think about this. No serious rider, no motocop, no track instructor, no long distance adventurer subscribes to this idea. They ride with precision, not fatalism. They wear the gear. They train. They assess risk constantly. Why? Because they know every smart decision adds one more layer of protection. You ride hard when it makes sense. On the track, with a plan, within your limits. Not just because you think you're destined for asphalt anyway. Here's the better truth. You might still go down someday, even if you do everything right. But if you ride smart, that crash is more likely to be minor instead of fatal. A lesson, not a life-altering event. So don't fall for this myth. It's not edgy. It's just lazy. Ride with heart. Ride with skill. Ride like you want to do it again tomorrow. Number 9. Front brakes will flip you over. Let's put this one to bed permanently. The idea that using your front brake will send you flying over the handlebars is pure myth. It's rooted in fear, not fact. Yes, your front brake is powerful. In fact, it provides up to 90% of your stopping power. But flipping over the bars doesn't happen unless you do something very wrong, like grabbing it in panic with all your weight forward on a downhill slope at speed. Modern motorcycles are incredibly well balanced and come equipped with things like ABS, anti-lock braking systems, which help prevent front wheel lockup in the first place. What actually happens when riders avoid the front brake? Their stopping distance skyrockets. They rely too much on the rear brake, which is far less effective, especially at speed. The result? Skidding, panic, and not enough space to stop. Here's what you need to know. Front braking is a skill. You don't yank it like a light switch, you progressively squeeze it. Think of it like wringing out a soaked sponge, smooth, firm, increasing pressure. Let the front suspension compress, let the tire grip. The better you get at front brake control, the more confident and safer you'll be. Want to ride like a pro? Learn to love your front brake. It's not your enemy, it's your best friend in a bad situation. Number 10, if you can drive a car, you can ride a motorcycle. This is one of the most dangerous assumptions a new rider can make. Driving and riding are not even close to the same thing. Riding a motorcycle isn't just driving with fewer wheels, it's an entirely different discipline. A car driver has a steel cage, airbags, power steering, stability control, and four wide tires doing the work. You could drive distracted, tired, or even one handed and still get from point A to B. Not ideal, but often survivable. On a bike, you're the entire system. Your body manages balance, your inputs control traction, your eyes handle threat detection, your reactions determine safety. There's no safety net, just skill and awareness. Motorcycles require coordination, timing, discipline, and constant mental engagement. Throttle control, clutch finesse, braking balance, lean angle, body positioning, all of that matters every second. People who jump from cars to bikes without training usually end up overwhelmed. They don't understand countersteering. They look down in corners. They panic brake in low side. Worst of all, they overestimate their confidence based on four-wheeled experience. The right move? Take a rider course. Learn the fundamentals. Respect the machine. Because what works in a car can get you killed on a bike. If you want to make it past day one and ride well into the future, treat motorcycling as its own language and learn to speak it fluently. If you've ever caught yourself believing one of these, don't feel bad. Most of us have. What matters is that you challenge that mindset before it costs you skin or metal. I'm Matthew from Autozium. Ride smart, ride sharp, and question everything you hear in the comments section. See you out there.